Okay, abuzaba makwa basonko so ereba POG Media so yembonra yensem breaking news bi aba eno na ya project de ato ye screen no enchen de amamono Supreme Court quashes warrant issued by High Court for arrest of K.Taylor. Court says warrant was issued without due process. Abusuafo K.Taylor ababe piemu ewo Ghana ha say ene na owo court na owo no echese na owo issues bi ewo na okoko piemu no echese Supreme Court for CC ano oye Vindicated quashe ne arrest warrant CC abusua K.Taylor echese originania enye asem keto akora bedam ase samoje pene okoko tisa ensemwe edeba na Musa Dankwa enso ede ensembi ababe tuja afa NPP amanyuku no post Kennedy Ejapon Dr. Bawumia ne nkofo de obelidi NPP party mom yanko na yankonko ti ensema eko so ewo ehonso medamase.
Now beyond that, when you drill down the data, it tells you something as well very interesting, and that's what we're going to get into. Bear in mind, today the New Patriotic Party is going on the path of seeking to amend its constitution. They received over thousands of proposals that they have whittled down to 50 for consideration today by the Congress and leadership of the party. One of it is that proposal to elect the flag bearer of the party on the 31st of January 2026, even before the election of the constituency and then also the regional, as has been stipulated in the constitution of the party as we have it. But there's been a court action for, as far as we do know, that has not prevented the party from going ahead with the planning of the event today. So on the back of that, because the flag bearer race is a key part of what you're going to do today, whether or not that proposal of January 31, 2026 will be accepted or not, by close of day today, we'll get to know. But this is it. And I want you to follow me closely. If you go down into the data, drill down into the global info analytics data, as we have seen, even in the Akan constituencies, and we're talking about the Western North, and then also the Eastern region, Central, when the respondents, over 10,000 of them as well, that were engaged by Global Info Analytics, we're going to put that on the screen right now. It still shows some data. Some 2,184 of the respondents in the Akan constituencies said if elections for the New Patriotic Party were held, they would prefer Dr. Bawumia leads the party, 59.25. Following closely is Kennedy Ohene Japan, 22.7. That's consistent with what we saw with the headline percentage breakdown that we did last week. And then also, Dr. Yaosei Duchum follows closely with 354 of the nominal value of the votes, 9.6%. Now, if you look at the others who follow, maybe you would say it's insignificant, but then again, it paints a certain picture as well as to how things will play out in the next few months ahead of us. Because it's just 6 months, some will say, well, it's just 6 months. Well, you have Dr. Bawumia is still fresh in the minds of people, the most marketed amongst all these persons, that's not in doubt. From 2008, 2012, 2016, 2020, 2024, he's been on the ticket of the New Patriotic Party. So then, how much of a difference will this particular situation be? Now, considering the fact that he also led the party in 2024 as a flag bearer, and they experienced this historic defeat, one would have also thought that that would have influenced or affected the kind of responses that these respondents gave. In the Akan constituencies, these 5 constituencies, we have at least 3,686 of the respondents also giving the details of what they have and who they prefer will lead the party. if elections were held in July. That is the total. Now, to give us a bit more context into this, Musa Dankwa, Executive Director of the Global Info Analytics, spoke to me earlier, and I found out from him what exactly all of this means. That we've seen the headline percentage as to who these respondents that he engaged would lead the party if elections were held in July. But when you drill down the data to look at the Akan regions as we are seeing right now in the western, north, central, Ashanti, you still have votes tilting towards Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, Bono East as well. So what does this mean? And this is what Musa Dankwa had to share with us. Take a look at this.
It's a combination of a number of things. One is the very regular face for the MPP, having been a vice president for 8 years. In fact, having been vice candidate or running mate for 8 years, and then the vice for another 8 years, and then just lost the election recently. So his face is more recognized. And also he's what I would say the household name for now in the minds of Ghanaian voters at the moment. We're not sure how the competition ahead is going to pan out and whether these numbers would change. And if it does, then we're going to see a very interesting race.
The detail that he gave about what this means. But if you look at as well, based on the outcome of what we have seen, the elections in 2024, one would have thought that depending on the outcome of that election, these swing or the Akan regions as we see, the Bono East, Western North, the New Patriotic Party lost heavily in those regions. So would it be right to still say that they are the strongholds of the party, considering the outcome of that particular election? That's the question as well, and how that also influenced what we are seeing right now in this particular breakdown. And based on the outcome of Musa Dankwa's engagement with the respondents, he is of the view that it will take more than one election cycle to say that Bono East or even the Western region is not an NPP region or a region that the NPP is strong in. Or as we saw things play out as well in the central region. Look at the number of seats that they lost in the Western region in the 2024 election. But he makes the strong case that it will take more than one election cycle to conclude that the New Patriotic Party has lost its hold in some of the regions that we saw them perform abysmally in 2024. And this is his contention. Let's get a bit more detail into the analysis that Musa Dankwa put out, specifically to these Akan regions, and taking into consideration the outcome of the 2024 elections. And this was his justification on what we are just seeing right now. Take a look.
One election cycle to conclude that it's no longer a stronghold, but extend to something else. But what we have known in recent time is that MPP is normally guaranteed Greater Ashanti region and Eastern region. Those are guaranteed. But what we are seeing now is that the Eastern region appears to be looking very, very tight indeed. And indeed, if you look at the current polls we have from Eastern region with regards to the approval of the president and the direction of the country, is kind of tilting away from MPP. But that's early days. These are traditional areas where MPP does well. These are Akan regions where their base is normally at. So traditionally, they should be doing well in these regions. Even if they don't win it, they will still be a force to reckon with.
To reckon with, but how about the swing regions? Musa Dankwa did something in the swing regions as well for this month of July, ahead of the Congress today. And this is it. We'll put that on the screen right now. In the swing regions, that is the central region, Greater Accra, looking at the Western region as well. Well, there are many who contest that the Western region has lost its swing region status, and there's strong argument to back that particular position. But if you look at this, based on the outcome of Musa Danqua's poll in the swing regions, and bear in mind, this is just 6 months after this election, 46.87%, that's 943 respondents in these swing regions, still said that if elections were held in July, they would prefer Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, as against 36.28 Kennedy Ohenye Japan, 7.65%, that's 154 of the nominal respondents, Dr. Yao Osei Educhum. But the swing regions, the NPP lost in the swing regions, as we're seeing it, in 2024. So why is it that the person who led the party into this historic defeat is still the one that the respondents say that if elections were held in July, they would prefer that he, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, leads the party going into the elections? So what is the justification for this? Was there any further engagement to find out what exactly is in the minds of the people? That beyond the outcome of 2024 elections, even in the swing regions, they will still prefer this man? And let's look at the likes of Patrick Boaba, whom Musa Danquah threw in there. And then Brian Echampong, Kwabena J. Japong, at least we've seen his posters now and a campaign office. So we have an idea that he's going to contest. But this is the outcome. And Musa Danquah gives some detail as to why, even in the swing regions, you still have Dr. Bawumia doing that much. Let's take a look at this.
You know, general election outcomes is different from the primaries outcome. And in the primaries, there are people who are voting for you for a number of reasons. So we shouldn't read too much meaning into that, but it gives you a bit of a feel, a flavor of what people are thinking. Now, if you look at the swing regions, you can see that it is much closer compared to the other part of the country. And the swing regions, we're talking about Greater Accra, Central and Western regions. Now, it simply reflects what we saw in the last election, that Greater Accra, Western and Central will be closely fought by these candidates. And at the moment, Bawumia has 10 points lead, or nearly 11 points lead in this region. And what you are seeing really is also the fact that all the other candidates who are from the same kind of demography are competing for the same vote. And that is probably what is giving Bawumia that kind of a lead in these regions. We don't know who would continue, whether they will form an alliance or they will fizzle out along the line. If they don't, then it will be very interesting to see how these numbers pan out when the campaign enters into a full mode. I don't know whether they may have a solution to the problem they encountered or they faced in the last election in terms of demography. If they have a way to counter that demographic issue, then, well, the future is really uncertain. But, I mean, look, it's going to be a very tough race for MPP. 2028, you have to battle it out. And they believe that, and remember, this is not the delegate, this is ordinary voters. So delegate may have a different view. I don't think we should confuse this poll among general voters and the delegates. We haven't done that of the delegates yet, but this is just a public view. And if the view of the public were to be anything by, then I suspect that the delegate may want to look at the views of the public.
Well, that's Musa Danquah, Executive Director of Global Info Analytics. We had this conversation earlier with him on the outcome of the polls in the Akan regions, the swing regions as well, that he polled in the month of July. But yesterday, we put a 24-hour poll on our social media. And for those of you who pay attention to the TV3 Ghana, X, and Facebook pages, we put this poll there. And it's very interesting. 27,198 of you responded to this poll. Who is your preferred leader for MPP ahead of 2028? This month of July, this was the outcome. 24.8 out of the 27,198, 24.8% say Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, and guess what? 39.4% say Kennedy Ejapong. Brian Echampong follows with about 24%, and Dr. Yawase Duchum, 11.7%. That is what we found out on our poll tracker on social media. For 24 hours, we put this out. And if you look at the outcome, 27,198 of you responded to this. And out of that, in percentage terms, 24.8% of you, the respondents, said Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia is your preferred leader for the MPP. And Kennedy Ejapong followed with the highest of 39.4%, Brian Echampong 24%, and Dr. Yawase Duchum. And we did the same for the NDC as well. You see, Johnson Ishidu Nketia, the national chairman of the party, 18.9. Harun Idrisu, the education minister, Tamale South member of parliament, 44.7. Dr. Kasiel Atto-Forcing, the finance minister, 23.3. And last week you heard Mr. Dankwa explain that he is only having this kind of endorsement because of the current state of the economy. Julius Deborah, the chief of staff, 13%. And let me just put it on record that none of these persons have come out to openly, publicly, and officially state that they are going to contest the flag bearership of the NDC. But we're just testing the pulse of the people of the NDC. But we're just testing of the pointers that have already come out or been put out. But these people, none of them or their assigns, agents, or persons associated with them have come out to state that they are contesting or they intend to contest the flag bearership of the NDC. Let's have a conversation briefly on this. And joining me quickly in the studio is a private legal practitioner. He's also a member of the Operation Recover All Load preparatory team. They've wrapped up their work and submitted their report to the president, which has been actioned by the Attorney General. Martin Pebu, good morning, sir. Thank you so much for joining us.
Good morning. Morning, Mr. Kansi. Excuse me. It's good to be here once again on Ghana's #1 talk show.
Indeed.
Right? Undisputed.
Indeed.
We've been running, right? We've cleared all the billboards, right? Topped all the charts. And of course, it's down to the good work of the people of Ghana. They've seen that this is their platform, right? I remember when people were censoring, people didn't want us to say all the bad things Akuffo was doing, right? But here, at least, we could say it well. And of course, people listened and then they made the right choices. And of course, just to bring just one statement, and you will see, the case against Mustafa Hamid reinforces what we were doing here.
We're going to go into it, so you don't have to. Yes.
It's just to show that that was the right thing we're doing. We could see the corruption all over, but every time we're like, where is the evidence? Show us the evidence. We'll come back into it, right? So, good people of Ghana, good morning. And thanks once again for making the right decision. Can you imagine if we hadn't booted out this corrupt bunch? Can you imagine where we would be by now? Thank you once again.
Okay.
Once again, of course, let's thank Sofo Akuffo Yasantua for speaking up. Sofo Akuffo is a relation to Addo and was Chief Justice. But afterwards, she made it clear that, look, even though I've been made Chief Justice thanks to my relation to Akuffo Addo, it doesn't mean that if Akuffo Addo is misgoverning, I should keep quiet. And so she spoke and spoke and spoke. And that's what we should continue to repeat to encourage Ghanaians to stand up for the truth. Don't always look at your stomach. This stomach direction politics will kill us. Let's stand up for the truth for once, right? And then, of course, I see Adeyo Ajimabedu, the second Domahini. Domahini and a number of other judges have been promoted to the Court of Appeal. They've suffered. You know, Domahini granted Oliver bail, and afterwards his troubles increased and increased. So Domahini, that's God restoring you. So the reset agenda is on. Yes, that's a reset. You remember last week the police service restored Agojo and Co. Right?
Yes.
Then this week is Domahini, and also Justice Buedi. Oh, fine, Justice Buedi now in Denu High Court, also promoted. Right? Yes, Justice Buedi was the one who granted Akuffo bail, and he too, it brought him a lot of headache. I mean, this kind of things, we hope that's the last time that this type of things should happen. Okay. It's a free society. Free society. Let's stop using our prejudices to gag judges, etc. Right. It's a free society. And of course, Toby Afede, we all know how Toby also stood tall. Yes. Toby Afede, good morning. We hope that you continue to speak truth to power, because that is what we lack most. Mm-hmm. Oh, and one of our ardent fans, I met him only once, Malik Mahama. Yes, but I'm hearing something otherwise. I just met him about 3 weeks ago, and he said that, look, this particular thing about so for Akuffo, the fact that I keep repeating that the fact that your relation is in power doesn't mean that you shouldn't speak up. He said that is what touched him the most. Malik Mahama, but I'm hearing something otherwise. But we'll wait maybe at the appropriate time.
Yes. So the official communication from the family.
Yes.
To that effect.
Yes.
And I agree perfectly with you on that.
Yes.
I think.
Okay, I was winning and some a course so our political highway so a year K.Taylor and I winning a court case as Siciano and Kunmindi Abane side I am so yade a honsome at the Breme. But I must say some of Peneko could see and some way at the my a POG Media so but I must say.